Here we are, back again, Birmingham, NEC, Motorcycle Live 2021. What happened there? Hard to believe it's been 2 years since we were last here, 2019, and you know, less said about last year the better. Okay, it didn't happen. It is what it is. Those 5 words that typify an entire generation. Anyway, we're back here again. I'm going to show you around as best I can, waffle on a little bit. Apparently, it wasn't too bad the last time I did this 2 years ago. Hey, fuck it, I'm going to come back and do it again. I'm going to try and split it up this time. I think the last time was quite long, it was about half an hour. So I might split it up into 2 or 3, part 1, part 2. So anyway, we're starting off here at the experience, the live experience. It's not just a Triumph experience, it's Royal Enfield and Honda as well here. I've done this the last couple of times here. Triumph have got the Scrambler 1200 and the Tiger 900. Royal Enfield has the Royal Himalayan, or the Himalayan 400, and Honda has their Africa Twin 1100 and a CRF 300. I've ridden pretty much all of them at some point, apart from the CRF, except the Royal Enfield. So today I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try out the Royal Enfield. It's the smallest bike, it's their cheapest bike. How bad can it be? Not that great. It was all right, it was capable. Okay, don't get me wrong, it was capable, but it was hard work, you know. I was looking at lads in front of me on the CRF and the Tigers, and I'm keeping up with them, but I'm working hard to keep up with them. But I shouldn't hold that against it. It's a third of the price, or at least half the price of the others. It's back to basics, and it was capable. It did everything that the CRFs and the Tigers did. You already know my feelings on the Triumph Tiger, or maybe you don't. I love the Triumph Tiger. I haven't ridden this 900 version, I've ridden a few of the 800s, but if the 900 is better than the 800, it's going to be it's a hell of a bike, because the 800 I thought was fantastic. The Africa Twin, I rode it in Goodwood a few years ago. It's like riding a washing machine, to be honest. Really sorry, Honda fanboys. It is unbelievably capable, does exactly what you want it to do, but you're basically a passenger. It's too capable, it's a bit, you know, clinical. The Scrambler 1200, I rode that 2 years ago. I don't know why they call it a Scrambler. You don't want to be scrambling on that thing. It's a big old girl, okay? But anyway, the Himalayan was fun. It did everything. Maybe my expectations, I had my rose tinted glasses on, I wanted it to be better. But anyway, forget all about that. Let's have a wander around the place. It's a little bit quieter than before. It's the quietest I've ever seen it. And there's a few manufacturers not here. There's no Yamaha, there's no Aprilia, and there's no mvagusta. So, you know, and there's also a couple of other surprises, which I'll tell you later on. I'm waffling, let's carry on. We'll chat in a bit, bye-bye. So BSA is back, baby. Yes, with the BSA Gold Star. There's actually quite a few of them. Revitalized brand, another revitalized brand. Very interesting, it's a 650 single, making about 45 horsepower. Thank you very much, sir. Makes about 45 horsepower from a 650 single. Funny enough, I have a 50-year-old Triumph Bonneville, which makes around 45 horsepower from a 650 twin, 44 horsepower. Progress, hey? No prices. They won't tell us the prices. They keep saying, we don't know, they haven't told us. You know, of course they know. Someone here knows what sort of a price range. They won't even give a price range. I'm going to guess, if it's any more than 10 grand, I'd be very surprised, because they look nice, they look well built, but you know, it's nothing on it looks too high end, if you understand what I mean. It doesn't look like it's been built to a budget, but it certainly doesn't seem like a premium product. It does seem fun, you know, it seems nice, they look well built, nice paint jobs on it. They look like a fun retro style bike. What more can you say? No one, I don't think anyone's ridden them yet, and we don't know what prices they are. But hey, BSA is back, and well, I guess we'll find someone else in the internet, in YouTube world, who'll test ride one later on in the year. BSA, Ducati. I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Ducati. Okay, more love than hate, because you know, I've ridden them for years and I do love them, but they do have a bit of a kind of reputation, you know, the whole checkbook biker thing. And it's right, it is true. Mine aren't, they're manky. But anyway, here we are. I really wanted to come to Ducati today because this is what I wanted to see personally. The new 2022 V4S. I didn't particularly like this bike when it came out first. When the V4 came out a few years ago now, 3-4 years ago, I didn't think it looked that much different to the previous Panigale, which I bought years ago. And I didn't particularly, I never really liked mine. I did love it. I just never got used to it on the road. It was too much, and that kind of ended my love affair with superbikes. So when the V4 came out, everyone was kind of thinking, oh, you're getting this one. And I'm like, no, I just didn't look that much different than mine. And the superbikes had gone too far anyway, well over 200 horsepower. And well, I couldn't afford one. But now, I've kind of thought, maybe I can squeeze it. And seeing the latest reviews on this beautiful, beautiful bike, they've just been astounding. People have been astounded riding it. Al Fagan from 44 Teeth has been blown away by it. I've never seen his reaction to a bike before. And they've just subtle tweaks that they've done to it. As you can see from the wings, they're carbon wings, they're kind of subtle. The new graphics, it just seems, they're the subtle touches. The tank is a smaller size. Sort of subtle touches they've made to it, subtle changes they've made to it. As you can see, it's made a huge amount of difference, and it looks so much better. I think it's divine, and it's 26 grand. Yes, it's not here. Apparently, it's stuck at the port. Brexit, no joke. The bikes got stuck when they had their launch. I think it was Jerez. They're all still there, or still stuck at the port. And here we are, Motorcycle Live in Birmingham at the Ducati stand, and they couldn't bring the mother of all Ducatis. Their top dog, they couldn't bring one here. So that's it, no V4S. Ducati. Do have to say one thing though, the Street Fighter SP, V4 SP. I slated this bike last time, 2 years ago when it first came out, basically with the stupid wings, and they do still look stupid, but God, this SP colours, they've really done something about it. They've just brought it out. It does look pretty badass. Badass? I'm not American. Badass. Okay, it does look good. 208 horsepower. This is that 28.5 sterling. God, I mean the V4S, the 2022 model, the new one coming out, is about 26 grand. It's a lot of money. 28.5 for this. It does look bloody good though. Dotmotorcycles, yet another revitalized brand, renewed brand, brought from the dead brand, an old British brand. Apparently it's over 100 years old, something like that. I've never heard of it before, but now it is anew, raised from the ashes. They have a whole series of these bikes. They look beautiful. They are astounding. Really, the attention to detail is superb. Looked all over them. The paintwork, the frame, the engineering, they are gorgeous, gorgeous pieces. They're pieces of art. They are pieces of art. One thing though, it's the price. They're not cheap, okay? They're starting off at around 18 grand, 18.5 grand. This one, with all the bells and whistles on it, is around 25 grand. Now, you may take a step back and say, well, they're handcrafted, beautifully engineered. That's not a bad price, and I'd be with you on that one. Except the problem is, it's this here. It's a Kawasaki. It's a Kawasaki 650. I just don't know how you can justify spending 25 grand or charging 25 grand on something with it. Nothing wrong with a 650 motor. It's a great engine. But you'd think for that money, you'd want something with a little bit more kudos, a little bit more name attached to it, especially, and apparently this is a bad word among this company, when you have the likes of CCM producing effectively really, really close to the same bike for half the price. And there's just no way, hope in hell, these are worth twice as much as CCM. I'm sorry, I can't see it, I can't justify it. The only thing I can really tell the difference between them is that these have twin calipers, twin discs, whereas the CCMs have one. Other than that, between the engineering and the frame, it's very, very hard to tell. They just can't justify twice the price. Sorry, Dot. They are beautiful bikes. I mean, they're works of art, and if they do well, fantastic. Bring out another brand, which is from this side of the ocean. But it's a lot of money, because you just can't get away from CCM. Sorry about that, guys. So here we are on the Honda stand, and as we know, if you're into motorbikes or want a motorbike for any job at all, there's a Honda for you. Whether you want a Pee-wee 50 for your kids, a motocross bike, a cruiser bike, a commuter bike, an adventure bike, or a sport bike, there's a Honda for you. I'm not really interested in the rest of them, apart from the motocross bikes. I'm only interested in the sport bikes, the Blade. So here we are 2 years later from its big unveil. Much excitement back 2019 about this particular bike. Has it lived up to its expectations since then? I don't think it has. When it came out 2 years ago, the two Irwin brothers, Andrew and Glenn, blew up the BSB on the Blades, and we thought, mother of divine, they've got something here. But it kind of fettled off, it kind of just wore away, and they haven't really captured it since. Not BSB, WSB, Honda isn't anywhere in the MotoGP either, and the road test as well, they haven't really nailed it there either. Funny enough, one too many road tests, they've had reliability issues. So they haven't really been hitting the heights where we were expecting them to hit. The other thing against them, from my perspective, is the price. Now, I think the base one is fairly good value. I think it's around 16 grand, but this, the SP version, is 23 and a half. And this, which is the 30th anniversary special edition, is 23,999, an extra 500 quid for a paint job. Which I also, and I'm going to sound like I'm really bitching about Honda here, I think is another disappointment, because the paint job is supposed to be an homage to the original from 1992, but it's not. Where's the yellow? Where's the yellow? Where's the yellow? Yeah, it didn't capture it. They are beautiful looking bikes, but 24 grand, I mean, for a bike that is not getting the highest of their lap times compared to the Aprilia or the BMW or the Ducati, and is not exactly setting the world alight on the race circuit either. You'd have to be a real big fanboy, a Honda fanboy, to spend this much money, a 24 grand on this bike. I'm really sorry about that, and I know I'm going to upset a few Honda fanboys, and I've had Hondas for 30 years. I'm a big, I'm nothing against the brand, but it's just a lot of money, and it's just kind of hard to justify it. They are great looking bikes. 24 grand on this, I'd save the 8 grand and go for the base version. And if you really want to get serious about track times, uprate the suspension on it. But that's just me. And that's actually not going to be the first bike I'm going to have that attitude about or that feeling about. I'll come back to that later. But anyway, Honda, I mean, they have a massive stand here, one of the biggest in the show. They're making a big deal of the Africa Twins, all the different versions of the Africa Twins. I rode them a couple of years ago at Goodwood. I'm not a great fan of them, very clinical. It's just my personal opinion. Very capable, unbelievably capable, but just too easy from my point of view. There are other bikes which are a bit more fun. I think, they work with you a little bit more if you're in for an off-road or a dual purpose bike. These look stunning. They've got all the power you're ever going to need. It's just, that's a lot of money when you consider the market. Aprilia, the S1000 is still cheaper with carbon wheels as well. And that V4S, if you're going to go the Ducati route, is only 2 grand cheaper. So anyway, that's Honda. So here we are on the Suzuki stand, and got some bad news about this one. It's the Gixxer 1000, brand new, the latest version, the Phantom version, 17.5 grand. It's got all their bells and whistles on. 200 odd horsepower like everything else here, but it's the only one here in the entire show, and from what I gather is the last Gixxer 1000 there's going to be, down to Euro 5 whatever ratings there are or fucking regulations there are. This is it. This is going to be the end of it, and I think that is sad. I think that's a travesty. We've already lost so many bikes in the 600 well, the 600 market's gone. There's no Gixxer 600, CBR 600. R6 is only a track-only version anymore. But yeah, this is going to be it. These things, I know, when I was speaking to one of the guys earlier at the shop here, there are a few of the current model or the last model, brand new. I mean, you can pick these up for like 14 grand, 14, 15 grand. That's a crazy amount of money for a 1000cc superbike, which is going to be faster than anything you're ever going to need. But the thing is, when you're talking about this compared to like the Ducati or even the Honda or the Kawasaki ZX-10RR, which I'm going to come to later on, they're 10 grand more expensive. 10 grand more expensive, if not more. I've heard rumors that you're getting a brand new Gixxer 1000 for like 13. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, because that's an insane amount of money. I mean, that's a lot of money you can spend on suspension, on an exhaust system, a hell of a lot of tires. For that extra money, you're getting a near BSB spec bike, for that extra amount of money. If you're not that worried about the image of a BMW or a Ducati, and you just wanted a really, really sorted, kick-ass 1000, I personally don't. I slated this bike 2 years ago. I slated it 2 years ago. But if we're talking about a value prospect now, You're not going to get this again, and that saddens me, considering the fact how big Suzuki is in motorsports, with its MotoGP and World Superbike and BSB. There's some race going on in the background behind me, and now they don't have any 600s, and this is the last Gixxer 1000. It's a sad day. I raced a Gixxer 1000 for years, a K6 for years. I love that bike. I love this bike. I'm sad. Don't let them die. One thing that Suzuki does have though is they have a big collection of the old retro bikes here, the classics. The RGV 250 over there. There's so many great bikes, but that RGV 250, why did I not buy one when I had the chance, when they were worth nothing? Could have got one for the same price of a packet of crisps. Now, for a decent one, you're talking 5 figures for a decent one. Well, not far off it anyway. Gorgeous bikes. Most fun I've ever had on a bike, a little 250, a little 2-stroke. And we're going to be talking about another 2-stroke later on. But anyway, Suzuki. Oh, the other mainstay of Suzuki, how could I forget? The Hayabusa, the big whale. My word, that bike is big. It's big. Jesus. And it hasn't got better with age either. It's a tank of a bike. There's a certain type of person going to be riding or buying a Hayabusa. I mean, it's a whale of a bike. There's a certain type of person who's going to be buying a Hayabusa. Their big bad Gixxer 1300. So I mean, they've updated it. You've seen, if you want to look it up, all the reviews and everything's online. There's all the details about it. It's about under 200 horsepower, so this actually makes more than the Gixxer 1300. But it's a weapon. It's a tank. You can't stop looking at it. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. You can't stop looking at it because it's a thing of beauty, or that it looks like a car crash. I don't know. I'm looking at it now. Sorry, it's rotating on the table there now. Just give me a moment. Harley Davidson. Sweet Jesus, no. CCM. What can I say about CCM, which I haven't said 100 times before? Every time I come to this show, I just fawn all over these bikes. Absolutely gorgeous. I love them. I love the styling. I love the image. You know, it's just like, right, we're going to do another run of another type of bike, lads. What should we do? Right, we'll have a bobber type bike, and let's throw that at it. Or I like that. Let's just do that stitching. Let's bash a bit of metal there and just flick it all together and stick it out. And they look stunning. The engineering, the frames, the attention to detail, it's incredible. Every year they nail it. And every one seems to be unique. And the biggest thing, the best thing about CCM, in my point of view, is the prices. I honestly don't know how they do it for the price. These are all, most of them starting under 10 grand, 9,995. And I think the most expensive one here I've seen is like 12 and a half. Like the most expensive. They're all 650s. They're just incredibly well built. They look astounding. And this is what I mean about what I said earlier about dot motorcycles. But dot motorcycles are starting at 18 to 25. These are starting 9.5, 10 to 12.5. Literally half the price. Same size engine, same amount of power, and effectively, you know, the styling is, it's very hard to tell between the attention to detail and the level of engineering. I'm like, just a small, just everything about it is astounding. And it's half the price of a dot. I don't doubt dot's attention to detail, their engineering prowess, their integrity, don't doubt it for a second. But I just don't see how they can justify charging twice the price for one of these. Now, not that long ago, I actually started looking at these up just to see what sort of prices there were second-hand. Started looking around. There's not that many for them. B, they're pretty much the same price. Even a 2019 is still going for around 9 grand. So they're not even depreciating either. You know, I could think of better places, I could think of worse places to stick 10 grand. You know, you could ride it a couple of years, enjoy it, and you know you're going to enjoy these bikes and pretty much get what you paid for out of it. You're certainly going to, for pounds per smile, oh God, you know what I mean. Incredible bikes, love the engineering, I love the style. CCM, if you want me to test ride one of your bikes in Dublin, give me a shout. You have my number, just call. We don't have a CCM dealership in Ireland. I'll take one over for you. I've no problem test riding one for you. Bring one over for me. Please, you have my number. Give us a shout. CCM. Okay, well, if you watched my last video of Indian, you know I'm a huge fan of this one. Forget about the rest of the range. I'm not interested in the cruiser type bikes, but I love the FTRs. So much so that I did also very recently, I know I kind of said this about CCM, but I did very recently start looking at these second-hand prices as well. I'm a cheapskate. I'm a cheap bastard because I'm looking for second-hand bikes. They haven't depreciated that much. I don't know that, granted, they haven't been out that long. Second-hand, I think the cheapest one I found was about 8.5 grand. This one is the full, all singing, all dancing, the carbon version. I think it's 12.5. 12.5. 12.5. Yeah, 12.5 for the standard. This one's nearly 16, 15,795. You know, so okay. Is that still good value? I don't know. You don't need to go for all the bits on this one. All those Akrapovic and Ollens and Brembos, that's a lot of equipment on this bike. And the carbon look, you're not going to see many of these around, you know, passing by on your way to Tesco. It's great looking bikes. Stunning. I still haven't ridden one yet, but hopefully 2022 I will do, so long as nothing else in the world happens again. No, I'm a great fan of these bikes. You've heard me say it before, you know, I'm not going to say it again. Watch the last video. Indian, the FTR version, forget about the rest of the cruisers. Get this one, or the base spec version, because that's a lot of money. A lot of money. Okay, well, I'm going to try and leave it here for now. I'm going to split this up into two because there is a lot. I remember the last video was quite long, so let's call this end of part one. Come back in part two, see how that sounds. Maybe you'll never make it to part two. Maybe you never made it to the end of part one. So if you didn't make it this far, up yours. If you did, see you in part two. All right.